There it is. Boy, am I tired. We went to see my daughter dance in Eugene, Oregon, which was 105 miles, give or take, from here. We didn't get out of there till 10:30 last night, so we didn't get home till almost 1. And then I had to have something to eat because I hadn't had any dinner. I had to watch a little Star Trek. So by the time I got to bed, it was 2 a.m. So I'm tired. I'm so tired. But that did not keep me from putting together what I think is a pretty mediocre show. So thanks for joining. It's Aaron Live. It is June 9th, 2024. Can you guys believe it? We are 6 months into 2024 already. Gosh, when I was a kid, it took forever for anything to come. You know, it was like, I thought it was a million years till I turned 16 to get my driver's license. And now it's like every day is about 5 seconds long. And I'm like, I'm going to be pushing up daisies here before long if this thing doesn't, the clock doesn't slow down. But anyway, we'll do our best. So as you can see, I didn't have time because usually I do my prep work for the show Saturday night, and I wasn't here last night. So I did what I could this morning, but I didn't have time really to put together a new opening for the second week in a row because I've just had stuff going on. You know, it is life. And so I had to go do a little call back to my earlier days on Aaron Live with some of the openings and or title sequences, credit openings, whatever. Wouldn't you know it? Why is my son calling me? I just talked to him. I'm going to have to put him on silence. We've been talking about buying like comic books, and, you know, that gets pretty in depth when some of the big ones come up. You're like, ooh, let's spend some money on that. Should I? Should I not? Some pretty deep conversations. But anywho, so Shelly's asleep. So, you know, it's just going to be me again. But I think that's okay. I think that's okay. Let's see who's here. Let's see who made the trek. Not a Star Trek necessarily, but a trek. Daniel Russell is here. Geek of, well, wait a minute. I got ahead of myself. Daniel Russell is still here, but it appears that Pastmaster Dan was the first one in the door today, and you get absolutely nothing for that, but my appreciation and thanks. Mark Pengren is here. There's Daniel Russell. Time for the Shelley Show, man. Well, it's just going to be the Aaron Show today. Ready for a monstrously good show by sequential artists. Yeah, there's a lot of monsters on today's show for sure. Repairman Jack is here. Says, hail, I'm ready for my favorite Sunday afternoon CG show, and that is Aaron Live right here, right now. You're watching it. Barbara Paulson, let's go. Monster Sunday. See, everybody's into the monsters. Citizen Ronin's here. Pastmaster Dan, of course. We already mentioned you. Sky79. All love to you and yours, Aaron. Congratulations. Thank you. I'm not sure what you're congratulating me on, but I greatly appreciate it. Being alive still, maybe finishing penciling Kit Carter, but there's still a ton of work being done to get that Kit Carter campaign ready to be shipped to you. We'll talk about that later. Sheeple Hunter, he goes, I'm expecting a good show, no pressure. And then, of course, Citizen Ronan says, well, if you're expecting a good show, then you'll be disappointed. There you go. I hope that didn't disappoint you. Heedmiser's here. Marcus Killigrew, purveyor of all things pop culture knowledge. There's Geek Avenger. He says, hooray, the wholesome side of Comicsgate. Indeed. I'm about as wholesome as you can get. Toshiro is here. Let's see. Squeaky's there because where Geek Avenger is, Squeaky's not far behind. Christina Lynn is rolled back into the show finally because she knows it's getting close to proofreading time, and she is correct. Christina will be sending you trading cards backs to read for me very, very shortly, like within a day or two, probably. And then once we, of course, get the book lettered, we'll have you check that as well, but we're not to that point yet. Jay Dread's here. Let's see who else we got. Did I pick that up from Art Taber? Doesn't Art do that? I think I picked it up from him. Major Corn Dog is here. Says good evening. Good evening to you. Quoth the Raven, Lewis Bright Raven, have to cook dinner by, but he'll be back with his dinner, no doubt. Well, let's see here. We got Jay Dread. Leg Kick is here because Leg Kick, of course, is almost always here. That sounds like my mom. Don't grimace too much like that, Aaron. Your face will freeze that way. The Geek Easy is here. Oh, there you go. I thought about getting this. Just bought a book earlier this week, The Complete Web of Horror. Great book. Awesome. Yes, indeed. Of course, he's referring to the short-lived Web of Horror magazine that Wrightson, Bruce Jones, and Jeff Jones, and I believe Wheezy Simonson put together on their own. And their investor took off with the cash after the third issue, and c'est la vie, there it went. But it was a cool black and white horror magazine that I think they were just, using to sort of compete with Warren. I don't think they were they pre? No, they obviously weren't pretty creepy or eerie. So, but anyway, Christina Lane says, my family's been watching the Star Trek animated series. I love that series. It has the original voices from the, sounds like my daughter's rolling in. The original actors from the original series did the voices on that cartoon. So I always liked it when I was a kid. That's for sure. Craig69 says, I'm not here, Aaron. Oh, okay. Well, could have fooled me. Let's see. Ronan's here. Jerry Rasco. The dog is squealing like a pig in the background out of joy that my daughter just walked in the door. Let's see. Jim Alaska's here. Not to be confused with Baked Alaska. Let's see here. As I roll down here. Heat Miser, John Porton. And looks like I think I got everybody. There you are. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining me. We're 115 strong at the moment. I'm sure that will continue to grow as the day goes by. Okay. So one of the most important things that we must remember on this show. Drink. Good. It is. Indeed it is. No, of course I don't drink, but, water is good for you. No, what I meant to say was, if you're watching right now and have not liked or subscribed, please watch this public service announcement. That's right. Like and subscribe. Make this channel grow to epic proportions. We are continuing to grow, but at a very slow pace. So I want explosive growth. Man, I'll take what I can get. I had a dream last night that Spielberg came and talked to me about making a movie. Weird. All right. Speaking of movies, there's nothing better than snacks to get the day rolling. So let's do this. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat. I still have these yogurt raisins left, and I'm going to polish them off. And these are the strawberry coated ones, strawberry yogurt coated ones. My guess is there's no real yogurt in this, nor is there any real strawberries in here. That would just be my guess. What does it say here? Ingredients: contains sugar, hydrogenated palm kernel oil. That's like really bad for you. Non-fat dry milk, dry non-fat yogurt. Okay, so there is some yogurt in there. This emulsifier. Well, there's raisins in here. That's good to know. They put in natural flavor, vegetable juice for color. I don't see anything about strawberries in here. That's all right. That's why we hire these food engineers to create chemical foods for us, so we don't harm the environment, right? I don't know. I have no idea. Okay. So while I consider cracking open that box and chewing on some raisins while I'm talking, how about if we take a look at the I almost said Wrightson image of the day, but the Frazetta for the day. And speaking of monsters, this is a good one. Speaking of monsters, that was pretty groovy. I always kind of figured that was the Frankenstein monster, but it doesn't really say. But I'm going to go ahead and assume that that's kind of Frazetta's version of Frankenstein, which is really cool. You know, the bald head and the jutting jaw. And I really like that painting. It's early one from Creepy, issue number 10, which is like around 1965, memory serves. So Wrightson was still developing as a painter at that point, but he was starting to hit his stride. You could see a lot of really good, I mean, even his really, really, really early oil paintings were still pretty good. But he, of course, developed to that, you know, when he got into that late 60s and was doing the Conan covers and stuff where he was really kicking some butt. So anyway, I thought, you know, we got a monster heavy show. Start off with a little monster artwork. Now, I think what I'll do is let's talk first about the final Mummy. Well, okay. It's not the final Mummy movie in the Universal series of Mummy movies, because as it has been pointed out to me that if I'm going to be a completist, I must watch Abbott and Costello Meet the Mummy. I'm not looking forward to it, but I will do it. But I did watch the final non-Abbott and Costello Mummy film that featured once again Lon Chaney Jr. as the Mummy. This, of course, is Curse of the Mummy. Now, I had a long talk with our good friend Graham Nolan about these Mummy movies, and you know, they pump them up as though they were fun, but I don't think anybody has the delusions that these were particularly good. Sorry, that's a little fuzzy. I apologize for that. I thought I had grabbed a bigger image. But anyway, you get the idea. So, is this movie any better than the other ones? Well, it got a terrible score on I got it. Okay, I see. I just had to check that message. Okay. Is it any better than the previous ones? Well, I can tell you this. The plot's different, thankfully. So after getting 3 in a row with the same plot, we finally got something a little bit different. So when we last left the Mummy from the Mummy's ghost, he had taken this innocent woman who had been possessed by the spirit of this Egyptian queen that our Mummy was supposed to be guarding through eternity, right? And he takes her, and they go into the swamp and sink into the swamp and allegedly die, you know, but they're already dead, right? So So you have this poor woman, um, did nothing to anybody, she was an Egyptian woman, but she was not any way connected that we know to this mummy lineage at all. And yet she ends up getting victimized by the spirit of this Egyptian princess and suffers a fate worse than death. So that's where we end the film. And in this one, we actually has a little bit of a different plot, and we get to pick up right where the other one left off. Okay. So there is this crew of excavators, not excavators, but excavators. And they're clearing out the swamp for not urban renewal, maybe suburban renewal. They're doing something in there. They're going to build there or something. And they uncover the remains of Karis, the mummy, not knowingly, of course, and they don't actually show his resurrection. Excuse me, but a guy from the Scripps Museum shows up, an American, with another Egyptian buddy that, of course, is secretly the new high priest. And they suspect that the mummy may still be buried there, and they want to check it out. So they go in there and they find some cloth from the mummy. So they know the mummy's risen again, right? And so, but for what reason, we don't know. To kill and maim. And he kills a lot of people in this. The one thing I'll say about these mummy movies is they're pretty dark. Everybody gets killed. Even the people you like get killed. It's just a total body count through all these movies. And thankfully, they're only about an hour and 5 minutes long, each of them. So they're definitely the second feature in a double feature back in the day. They were B movies all the way to the core. But in this one, there's a great scene where the girl who was possessed by the spirit of the Egyptian princess rises out of the muck and dirt. And it's a pretty creepy scene. Now, she's not like decayed or anything. She's completely whole, which I don't really understand. But anyway, so she's doesn't know who she is. And you remember, and they don't use the same actress they did from the first or from the mummy's the ghost of the mummy's ghost. They use a different actress, but it's the same character. Anyway, so she comes out of the muck. The archaeologists find her, and they're kind of like, they take her in, and she doesn't know who she is, but she's very smart and very knowledgeable on mummy stuff, but can't really kind of figure out who she is. So this Egyptian guy who's partnering with the archaeologist, we find out that he's yet another in the line of these priests that has been ordained to go and retrieve Karis and bring him back to Egypt with the princess. So murder, very little intrigue, very little suspense. Go forward, and eventually what happens is the everybody dies. The end, pretty much, except the girl makes it back into the sarcophagus of the princess and becomes mummified again. So I guess the princess came home, and the mummy allegedly dies as the building collapses on him when he's fighting some other rotten scoundrel. So good, bad, indifferent. I'm indifferent. For what it was okay. It didn't bring anything too spectacular to the table, but at least, like I said, the plot was different than the previous three. So there you go. Watch The Mummy with Karloff. Don't expect much if you watch the sequels, and probably avoid Abbott and Costello Meet the Mummy at all costs. But we'll take a look at that tomorrow or this week, and I'll be back to report on that next week. So that's my version of mummy news for this week. What do we got here? Everybody's David Pentecost is joining us. Thanks, David. Hail, Aaron, and hail, chat. First time catching a live stream in quite a while, but I've been watching the videos later. Well, I appreciate it, man. If you can't watch them live, watch them in reruns. I really appreciate it. Yeah, there you go. Miss the Mummy News music. Yeah, Ethan has way better, intros to his segments than I do, but I have more segments. So it's all about, content, right? There's all sorts of weird stuff going on in the chat that I'm not going to read. Carbon Dioxide for $2. Thank you so much, Carbon Dioxide. I appreciate it. Check out the 80 pages garbage punk band, The Mummy. Oh, I'm sorry. Check out the 80s garage punk band, The Mummies. Or do they dress like mummies? That would be interesting. Oh, I'm going to say, let me put a trigger alert, a warning on this movie, the Mummy's Curse. There is a ridiculously blatant racist depiction of this black character in the film that is really embarrassing. And you sit there and go, are you kidding? But I mean, it's over the top bad. So just for that, I guess you might check it out just to be, but I was shaking my head, I was like, you got to be kidding me. But anyway, there is that. Well, let's see. David Blinn says, way better intros. Ethan's intro for Mummy News is him wearing toilet paper. Well, yeah, there is that. It's not blackface, but it's really, it's embarrassing. It's really bad. So anyway, true. I don't know why my expectations for any of these mummy movies were anything other than to be expected to be disappointed, but they're great mummies. They're great movies. If you're a kid growing up watching Universal monsters and stuff, they're short, they're scary, but they're not too scary. And then as you get older, you're just like, why didn't they take an extra 20 minutes and fix this movie? I mean, it's mind numbing to me that, that we talk about Hollywood cranking out crap today. They were really cranking out those B movies. But even when they got in the 50s, though, the B movies suddenly became good. The Day the Earth Stood Still, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, The Creature from the Black Lagoon, and the sequels to The Creature from the Black Lagoon I thought were fine. They weren't as good as the first one, but they were good enough. And Forbidden Planet and things like that. I mean, their B movies in the 50s were far superior to the B movies in the 40s. And I don't know if that was just luck, if they ran into some young directors who were hungry and wanted to prove themselves, or why. But certainly the quality of the B movies took a big leap in the 50s than they did from the 40s. Of course, Hellraiser is saying Hammer films. Well, those were 60s, though, really. I mean, late 50s into the 60s. But they were, I haven't seen them all, but of course, you get into the mid to later 60s, and they all became totally, shall we say, sexually driven with their lesbian vampire films. But a lot of them were, they're pretty good, and they were pretty gross, and really kind of pushed the edge as far as they could in those movies. So I guess it depends on what you're into. Yeah, Them was another great 50s. Again, sci-fi. It's like the 40s, the 30s and 40s had horror B movies, and then the 50s had nothing but sci-fi B movies. I mean, you could even count Creatures from the Black Lagoon as a sci-fi movie, although it's more of a monster movie, but still. David Blinn says John Carpenter saved the genre. Well, he certainly kept B movies alive and made quite a few good ones. Most of the ones I like are starring Kurt Russell. Speaking of Kurt Russell, okay, here we go. I sat down. I didn't realize we had Apple TV, but we did. So I guess 6 months late, a year late, whenever I sat down and watched Monarch, Legacy of Monsters, only because Kurt Russell was in it. Now, it fell into the same trap that most episodic television shows do, in is that they decompress the storytelling, right? And so the story that we're most interested in them hunting down the monsters, gets waylaid by character backstory and things like that. So the question then becomes, do you like the characters? And then is their backstory interesting? And that's the problem. I'll point out a few things here without giving out too many spoilers here. Okay, so Kurt Russell shows up there's Kurt right there. He shows up at the end of the second episode. Now, the part I liked about this movie, or the parts I liked about this movie or television show, were, this is Wyatt Russell, Kurt's son, and I guess Goldie's son, right? Kurt and Goldie's son. He plays Kurt Russell in 1952. He's an Army guy, and it talks about the founding of Monarch, and they're the first ones to discover Godzilla and all these monsters. So you have this female Japanese lead scientist who I really liked, and then this guy who's like the kind of doofy cryptozoologist, which I looked it up, and this took place started the flashbacks in 1952. The first time that cryptozoologist was ever used as a term was in 1951, that I could track down. So he did refer to himself as a cryptozoologist in this program, which to me means nerd who studies creatures that don't exist. So really, you're not a scientist at all. I'm a cryptozoologist we all are, because we all study great videos every episode on cryptids. But anyway, so the three of them form this Monarch thing, and it shows about their trials and tribulations as they do that, and as they, encounter Godzilla and other creatures. And of course, there's a love triangle going on here, and it's all really, really interesting to me, right? So, but the problem is the modern story featuring these three irritating young adults that happen to hook up with Kurt Russell. Now, if I was Kurt Russell, I would have shot all three of them by the third episode, but he refrains and does not do that. They're whiny. They complain all the time. They're pissed off about stuff all the time. They're perpetually angry. They're perpetually disrespectful. Everything. Well, I guess we could say it's a realistic portrayal of the modern generation. So anyway, this girl here, the lead girl, and this guy right here, they have a connection. I won't spoil it. The whole thing is connected in a very interesting way, which I think they showed a lot of effort in putting together the details and the continuity from the movies they've already done into this show, and the characters in this show, and how everybody interconnected. I thought that was well done. That was interesting. But these kids, I call them kids. They're young adults, but they're kids to me. I couldn't stand any of them. And what we had for the first half, there's 10 episodes, what we had for about the first half was flashbacks to Kurt Russell's younger years with these three characters, which I really liked. And then, Kurt Russell was always cool, but then he was stuck with these three adult brats. And about the second half of the series, we started getting that kind of that Lost vibe, the television show, where we would go back and flash back to these guys' personal stories, which, and maybe it was just me, but I didn't care about. And they didn't reveal anything about these characters that we didn't already know. These two were in a relationship together that went wrong. Do we really need to know the details of why it went wrong? I don't care. We reveal that this girl is a lesbian because that's important. And, but she was a school teacher in San Francisco and a lesbian. So it actually was probably the most accurate portrayal in the whole show. But again, couldn't care less. His story, boring. Oh, their story, boring. Her story, mildly interesting, but unnecessary because we were getting all this information up front. We didn't need to waste the episodes going back and seeing their guys, get their own little backstory episode. So for me, it's a mixed bag. It wasn't bad. There wasn't enough monsters. In the first 4 or 5 episodes, they had plenty of monster sightings, enough to keep you involved, keep you coming back for more. When we started getting into these young people's backstory, they forgot about the monsters. And so it wasn't as cool. It ended surprisingly. And as far as I know, the Kurt Russell backstory is pretty much played out. So I don't see there being any more flashbacks with these characters, which I really liked. They are my favorite in the show. And then Kurt Russell doesn't appear to be in the future episodes, although they're not saying he won't be. But anyway, would I watch the second season? No. It should have been about 6 episodes long. Yes, instead of 10. But, for overall, it was okay. But, nothing to write home about, but not, like I said, there was enough good stuff that kept me watching it to find out what happened. But I just felt it really drug when, you may feel differently. Maybe you like these young people and empathize with their journey, but I don't. And so that's where it kind of slowed down for me. When they were in the modern times with Kurt Russell and stuff, they were fine, even though they were complaining all the time. But that was fine. It was the flashback episodes, and there was 3 of them that I felt really sort of boring and needless. There is an abundance of women in this show. Like, Monarch is run by women almost exclusively. There's one nerdy computer guy that actually plays a prominent role. Their security is led by women. There was women all over the place. So not that it affected the story, and it didn't, but it was so obvious that it was a DEI thing that you're like, come on, don't be so obvious about it. But I mean, like I said, it didn't ruin the thing for me. It was just something I noticed and kind of chuckled at. Anyway, so when we're dealing with Kurt Russell, both young and old, it's good stuff. When we're dealing with the kids, not so much. And there could have been more monsters. But again, it's not sitting there and say it's bad or it's horrible. It's not. It's just not great. So there you go. Maybe 6.5 out of 10. Maybe, but the good episodes were, 8s. The bad episodes were like 2s. So, do the average. So anyway, there you go. That's my thoughts on Monarch, Legacy of Monsters. So, everybody's mileage may differ. So, okay. Let's take a hard look at the Kit Carter campaign. A lot of stuff is moving along quickly, and I want to share on a larger format, like this show, exactly where I'm at and what's going on. So as of last Wednesday, just 4 days ago, I finished penciling the book. Matt Ryan has just got 6 pages to go. He got he got the inks yesterday, I think. Maybe Friday. I can't remember now. So I expect to have the inks by him by probably the end of this week. Then Kelsey tells me he's about 2/3 through the book being colored. I told him, can we get it in about 2 weeks? And he said, yes, we'll see. But so that's kind of where that's at. When those colors come in, I will start getting the book lettered. And the hope is that this all comes together in one beautiful package by the end of this month. We'll see. It's going to be close, but it'll be in that neighborhood. So let's first of all, let's take a look real quickly at the campaign, and then I'll show you all the goodies that I've worked on since Wednesday. Because I have not been sitting on my hands, that is for sure. Okay. Boom, there it is. Okay, so it's Kit Carter, Planet Doom graphic novel. It was originally 64 pages. Now it's 66 pages. How about that? You have a hardcover, limited edition, signed and numbered with a about an 8-page art gallery tipped in to the hardcover that won't be in the softcover version, which is right here. Softcover trade edition, however you want to describe it. Here's some of the colors by Kelsey. So it is moving along in that department. Back cover by Dan Lawless. Beautiful piece by him. This will be in the gallery in the hardcover. This will be in the gallery in the hardcover, colored, of course. You've got t-shirts available. Those will be sending in very soon. The sketchbook I have not put together yet, but that is next. As soon as I finish up the trading cards, which I'm almost done with, and we'll show those in a second. This is the poster. If you look behind me, you can see that I'm working on it. You can see Lord Menaces. You can see this portion of the painting right there is right back over my shoulder. See? We'll talk about it in a little bit more detail in a minute. Of course, you can get the laser etched shot glasses. I got to send the orders in for those very shortly as well. I have some, but I didn't order enough, so I'm going to have to order more. Okay. This is the click card, which is the early sign-up card. If you signed up early, gave me your email address before the campaign went live, you'll get this for free. If you did not, I haven't made it. I should put a perk up here where you can get it for $5 if you want to add it on. Or you can just contact me and say you want one, and we'll work out a deal. But these will be $5 for those of you who came late. If you want one, if you don't, that's fine. But this is the limited edition card in this set for the early sign-up people. That's by David Williams, colored by me. This is a stretch goal. This is Power Blaster from Power Cubed. Click is from Power Cubed as well. Power Blaster is from Power Cubed, again by David Williams. I colored it. This is Empirus, and David will be doing a origin story, backup story of this character in Blood Hunter, Wraith of God 3, which will be following this campaign very shortly. So this character is sort of, if you look at the whole Lopresti verse, he's a major character in the goings on that we haven't really got into yet. So hopefully his origin story that I have David do will help shed some light on that. He's sort of the yin and the yang with Eon Chance. And so they're sort of, well, I don't give away too much, but that's kind of his role. He's a very powerful being in the whole universe. So that's one of the other trading cards. So those are the two. Oh, that's three. Count them. 3 There's two more I'll show you in a second, but those are the that's the click card, which is the early sign up card, and then these last two, the Power Blaster and Imperius, are part of the stretch goal cards that no matter what you order, you get these for free with your order. You can also add on Garbage Man or Power Cube trade paperbacks. You can get Wraith of God #1, the second printing with a new cover. There's two options there. And then, of course, Blood Hunters, which is Wraith of God #2, which was the last campaign. And all cover options are still available on this book. All the original art sales are gone at this point, but I'm probably will be adding a couple more to the campaign. But anyway, you'll find the link in the description of this video. It'll take you right there so you can go check this out. If you're curious about what the story is, it's pretty simple. It's Kit Carter is an elite ranger in the Galactic Alliance Freedom Force, and along with her partner Merv the Astro Chimp, she polices the galaxy, bringing the most dangerous villains and tyrants to justice. Lord Menace is the tyrant king of a dying, monster-infested planet, codenamed Planet Doom. In a dangerous and desperate move, he acquires the Eye of Omniman and employs its unmatched power to rejuvenate his planet and create forces to conquer the galaxy. Kit and Merv are dispatched to stop him, but is this the one adversary that even they can't handle? Find out in this irreverent space adventure inspired by 1950s sci-fi B movies and comics. Probably more inspired by comics than movies, but there's a little bit of everything in there. It's obviously a humorous adventure story, but I think it has big scope, and I love the artwork in it. I'm very pleased with how it's looking. It's 8.5 by 11, so it's a little bit larger format. I think you'll like it. If you've backed already, thank you so much. If you have not, check out the link. See if it might be something you'd be interested in. Stealth X5 for $2. Hello, Stealth X5. Thank you very much. So let's take a look at the other two cards. If I can find them, there we go. So this isn't trimmed exactly right yet, but this is the Lord Menace trading card that will come as a stretch goal that we've hit already. So you get the Imperius, Lord Menace, Power Blaster, Imperius trading cards. And then, of course, the newly finished Mr. Midnight trading card, who is part of the nightclub, which, of course, ties in with Wraith of God mysteriously at this point, but it does tie in. And if you haven't read Wraith of God, check out the first issue. You can get the second printing. You can actually get it on my website if you don't want to wait for fulfillment on this campaign. You can buy directly from me on my website, which is aaron@aaronlopresti.com. You just go to the store section, and it'll show you your options. And one of them is to buy the Wraith of God #1 second printing, which has a 3-page epilogue featuring this character, and also the entire team shows up in Wraith of God 2 Blood Hunters as a backup story. And you'll also see the first appearance of the nightclub in the Garbage Man trade paperback. So this is a character that's been used frequently in my stories and is connected to the Wraith somehow that has not been revealed yet. So anyway, those are the 4 stretch goal trading cards you'll be getting. And if you signed up early, you get the click card for free as well. So you have the potential of getting 5 free cards with your order. Or like I said, if you want the click card and you didn't sign up early, shame on you, but you can buy it for $5. So here's the artwork for the Mr. Mystery card. This is on 11 by 14. I'll probably put this up on the campaign, or if, someone's interested in buying it before I put up on the campaign, it's only going to be, I think, $250. So if you're interested, let me know before I put it up, and then I won't even put it up. Now, some of you may have seen, I don't have the colored version here, but I'll show this anyway, that our good friend David Williams and Ethan Van Sciver have Fearsome up on Indiegogo right now. And I was lucky enough to get to do a cover for Fearsome number 2. And there it is. Pencil link that. And the color job is terrific on it. And so that'll be one of the options for, I guess he has like a completist perk or something where you buy and you get one of everything kind of thing. And this would be included in that. So go check that campaign out. It's just on Indiegogo. You can type in Fearsome. It'll come right up. Unlike my campaign, which has been shadow banned, you have to have the direct link, which you can get in the description of this video on my website, aaronlopresti.com or kitcarterplanetdoom.com. All those have links right directly to the campaign. But I wanted to show my cover that I did for Ethan. I was very honored to be asked to do it. And I had to turn it around super quick. So I spent a lot of hours and very few days to get this thing done for him. But now it is available. So there you go. All right. Now I've been posting, you see behind me, I've been posting videos on my approach to handling this poster painting. And so my goal is, as I'm working on all this other stuff, is to get a portion painted a day. So I've kind of changed my mind about what I was going to do here in the background. So that's why it's not done. But the background will all be painted. These background characters will all be painted. And then once all that's done, I will go and finish Kit as the final step. Next up, tomorrow, I'm going to do the grass or the wood swamp creature with Kit and Merv down here. So the goal is to get this whole section done tomorrow. The following day would be Merv, and then we'll do this guy or probably this dinosaur creature, and then this dude. And of course the background here, which is going to be color. And I was going to do that up here, but then I thought space might be kind of interesting. The thing with this is, though, you may say, well, why isn't this finished here? Well, because this is going to get trimmed about right there on this side and about right there on this side, just to meet the proportions of the movie poster. But it is a journey. I'm very excited. I'm really pleased with how this has come out so far. If you want a better look at it, I've been posting pictures on social media, and also you can check out the videos. All righty then. And that's all in acrylic. So, okay. So anyway, there's your Kit Carter update. You know what I know. I got a list over here of all the things that need to get done. I'm working on the backs of the cards right now. You know, of course, there's the information about the character on it, so I can get those to the printer. And then after that, I'll be putting together the sketchbook while I'm working on this. And also all the many Kit Carter headshots I have to do that for you guys that were completists that get original artwork. So a lot of stuff to do, but if I time everything right, by the time it's done lettered and ready to go to the printer, all this stuff will be ready to go to the printer or have already gone to the printer. And so we shouldn't see any delays on my part. So anyway, there you go. Kit Carter, Planet Doom. Back it early and back it often. Actually, you can't back it early, but you can back it late now. All right, so powdered wigs are trending. That is very interesting. Someone should send Lopez the curly wig. I don't know what you guys are talking about. Very strange. There's Phil Diaz in there. That red is crazy intense. It is. It is. Okay, so what's next? What's next on the old agenda? I think it's time to take a look at a little bit of artwork that isn't mine. So let's take a moment to see who this guy is this week. people usually get credited for inspiring Wrightson's Frankenstein work. One of them is Franklin Booth, who we looked at last week. The other is Joseph Clement Cole, another fantastic pen and ink artist. Where Franklin Booth, illustrated these sort of like landscapes and very serene images, many times fantasy related, but very serene and stuff. Cole illustrated stories, and usually dramatic ones. Victor Hugo, Sherlock Holmes, those type of things. But still use this sort of line work that Franklin Booth did, although it's much rougher, bolder. But it fits the energy of, the storytelling he was doing. So he was one of those guys who did like spot illustrations for magazines that would print these stories by these great authors. But you can see in here, his line work is much bolder. I don't want to say messy, but looser than what Booth would have ever done. Booth was just so meticulous and so tight. And Joseph Clement Cole had more energy and movement in his stuff and used a much looser line, but still created a lot of the same sort of effects. Dale A says more organic line work. There you go. I've got quite a few pieces here that I want to share. This is another one from Illustrated Stories. You see just, this woman's hand here, back here, the tipped over wine glass. This villain has obviously poisoned her. But look at the bold line work on this jacket and stuff. Very loose, very sketchy. I believe that was Fu Manchu, the first one he's asking about. Marcus Killigrew says it's either inspiring or makes me want to give up. But you can see even like that maybe Frazetta took a little bit from him, and Wrightson definitely did. That's a great piece right there. I really like that. Great composition. This bird thing up here feels very Frazetta. A lot of this feels very kind of Frazetta-esque. Or I'm saying that in reverse because he would not have been inspired by Frazetta. Frazetta would have been inspired by him. But you can see that Frazetta may have taken notice of this guy. Like this stuff up here. This tree branch that isn't fully realized has a very, looks very much like something Frazetta would do. These again are all like magazine illustrations. Oh, this is a good one. Dang it, it's not very big though. Let's see here. But again, very dramatic book illustration. I don't know what story he was illustrating here, but here's a little background on Cole. There's a close-up. Let me show you this first. There's a close-up here. Gives you a pretty good idea of his technique and what he was doing. But Joseph Clement Cole, 1881 to 1921, so he only lived to be 40 years old. It says, although J.C. Cole, that's Joseph Clement Cole, received no formal art training as a youth, he developed his talent by studying the works of artists such as Edward Austin Abbey and Howard Pyle, we've taken a look at Howard Pyle's work a few weeks ago, and particularly those of Spanish artist Daniel Vierga. Daniel Vierga. He further developed his quick, dramatic strength of line as a young newspaper artist in New York, Chicago, and Philadelphia. But it was Cole's vivid imagination that would lead to book and magazine commissions for the exotic stories of authors like Arthur Conan Doyle, Sax Rohmer. Of course, that would be the Fu Manchu. Unfortunately, Cole's burgeoning career was cut short by appendicitis at age 40. Holy smokes. Guy dies from appendicitis at age 40. Of course, in 1921, appendicitis was probably a much bigger deal getting that treated than it is today. But anyway, look at how loose this line work is. It's just really sort of, he's just scribbling out this stuff, but it's so dramatic, has so much energy. The light and dark, very effective. Also you might say some of this feels a little bit like maybe Kaluta got some influence from him as well. I love this piece. This is really something else. You got this guy's face down here, this guy's face, the devil or whatever it is up here is what it looks like. And then this guy, spinning some sort of yarn, or maybe he's I don't know, is this a pirate thing or I don't know, but it's really cool. Look at this face. And the lighting on that face. And yet look how loose those line strokes are. Look at that face. It was very, very cool. That's not a great face there. How he does the lighting effects, uses the heavier lines here in the shadow areas. God, look at how loose this is. I really admire guys that can be this loose. My stuff is just, every time I think I'm loose, I look at it and I look at something like this and go, okay, I'm still tighter than a snare drum. But yeah, this is one of my favorite pieces. I don't know what it's from, but it's brilliant. Marcus Killiger says Roy Krinkle was influenced by Cole. I believe that as well. Now this is, I believe, The Lost City, which was by... it's not Burroughs. Who wrote that? It wasn't Victor Hugo, was it? Maybe it was. But they got this kind of ape man up here in the tree, and then our adventurer kind of at his mercy, it seems to be. But again, ridiculously loose, but ridiculously good at the same time. That's true. If you really want loose line work, that would be Heinrich Clay. Yes, indeed. Heinrich Clay is another good one. Now this is interesting. This is a page of his sketches, and they don't seem any different than his finished work. It's the same type of thing. This guy's face. Look at all that just line work on there, and this guy's face. There's very much an imaginative side to his work. Very really comic booky before there were comic books. Not in the finishes, but just the drawing itself. How much life and uniqueness these character studies have in their faces and their body language. Really, really interesting stuff. There's a couple more Now there's a ton, not a ton, but there's several books of his work available. I think there's a paperback that's fairly cheap. If you just look up Joseph Clement Cole, like on Amazon, and see what books come up, some of them, the older ones, are pretty expensive, a couple $100. But I think there's I got one a few years ago, paperback. I think it's got a lot of his work in it, and it's relatively inexpensive. But look at this. Look at these horses. This guy with his gun, and this apparently some Arab or something getting taken care of by Her Majesty's royal service there or something. Again, great handling of light and shadow here. I like this one too. Well, I pretty much like them all, or I, wouldn't be showing them. But the only problem he has, and it's the same problem that Kaluta had, I thought, excuse me, that sometimes the stuff gets so involved and busy, you kind of lose track of everything that's going on because of all the line work. But for the most part, in his illustrations and his vignettes, you can follow the action. But it's because of a very busy feeling because there's so much line work everywhere that you really sometimes have to look closely to make sure you're not missing something. This is all ink, Repairman Jack asks. To what degree he penciled underneath this, I have no idea. But tremendous work again from another illustrator, the turn of the 20th century, from the 19th to the 20th century. And unfortunately, left us way too soon at 40 years old. Can you imagine if I had died at 40? I don't even think I would have made it to DC. I don't think I did. I think I was over 40 when I went to DC. So thank goodness I'm still hanging in there. Okay. What am I forgetting? Oh, yeah. All right. Joseph Clement Cole, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, check Amazon. Find a book on his work. Probably should be able to find something that's relatively inexpensive for you to check out. But now, this is absolutely free. It's my top 5. I'm eating. My top 5 heroes that are not superheroes. Now, I didn't put too big of parameters. They could come from comics. They could come from literature. They could come from movies or TV. But if you ask me who my 5 favorite superheroes were, they'd be very different from who my 5 top non-superhero heroes are. So, and how do you define not a superhero? They don't have superpowers, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, let's get this show on the road. It's number 5. As a wee lad and an avid comic book reader, that's where I first discovered Robert E. Howard. And this guy was always one of my favorite. He was a Puritan, so I always kind of imagined him like, oh, he's a Christian. He's a good Christian man, and he's out fighting. What is he fighting? He's fighting the devil. He's fighting monsters. He's fighting demons. He's fighting ghosts and evil spirits and voodoo and zombies and, a Puritan monster hunter. Are you kidding me? What a great concept. And especially during a period of time when, I'm sure the witch trials, he would have been, that would have been during the witch trial times. And there was a lot of concern about such things, that you go back and create a character in that time frame. It's pretty clever, actually. I like the hat. I like the whole outfit. I like the fact that he's a sophisticated warrior. Almost said barbarian, but he's not a barbarian. He's just, it'd be like having like a monk be a monster hunter almost. It's just, I just find it just kind of interesting. So you got this Puritan guy with his pilgrim hat, fighting evil forces, not only in Europe, but he probably takes the boat over and does a little work in America as well. This is a couple panels here we're looking at is a story from, there was a magazine that only went 3 issues. It was Cole and the Barbarians. And in each issue, it had a Cole story, Red Sonja story, and a Solomon Kane story. And that is where I first discovered Solomon Kane. This is by Alan Lee Weiss, inked by, I think it's inked by Krusty Bunkers, which is basically Neil Adams' crew. So Neil Adams and his entourage inked this. So it looked really, really cool. And there's this, in one of the issues, and I can't remember off the top of my head, I have to go check, but in one of those 3 issues, there is a gallery in the back by Neil Adams where he draws Robert E. Howard characters. He draws, I don't think he draws Conan. I think he just draws the characters that they were planning on being in this book, but he draws like the secondary ones. He draws Cole, Red Sonja, Solomon Kane, and Bran McMorn. And they're just great pieces. Really, really cool pieces. So, but anyway, so that's my number 5 of heroes that are not, I don't think Neil's ever been inked by Buscema. I know that Neil inked Buscema. Yes. I'm sorry. Yes, he did, on a couple of Savage Tales stories, a couple of Conan stories, and a couple of issues of Conan. It's really good looking stuff. Seek it out. Oh, is there? Yeah, they were supposed to hire me to do some covers and they never got back to me. I wonder why. I have read their first 4 issues of Conan, though, which I thought was really good. If only I could. If only I could. Okay. Number 4. We're going to stay in the realms of pulps here, I think. Doc Savage. Of course, this is a great painting by James Bama, the late, great James Bama, who did the iconic run of Doc Savage book covers, paperback covers in the 60s and 70s. I don't know what it is about Doc Savage, but I have to admit that all my characters that I'm interested in, all the monsters that I'm interested in, all come back to their visual design, the look of the character. And I got into Doc Savage because of these fantastic covers by James Bama. And I just thought he looked cool. So I started reading him. And of course, when I read a Doc Savage story, this is what I see. And then, of course, when Marvel did their series, Doc Savage series, short-lived 8 issues in the 70s, he had this look as well. It was Ross Andrew who drew that. I think inked by Tom Palmer, if I'm not mistaken. But I know that that Ross Andrew was the penciler on it anyway. So I have all these books because of the Bama covers, but I've actually read some of them too, and enjoy them quite a bit. They're definitely written from a different time. Um, I remember Shelley hijacked a bunch of these books. She used to just read like crazy before the internet became a thing and iPads became a thing. She'd read books constantly, and then she would be like, "You got anything for me?" When she ran out of like her romance book or whatever, I'd say, "Well, I got these Doc Savage books," but I'd say, "You can read them, but don't bend the cover over." And so she's read more Doc Savage books than I have, and she got a real kick out of them. He brings up a good point. Tried to get to the first Doc Savage, but I couldn't get into it. Writing was okay. Yeah, the thing with the Doc Savage books is they say you get a single author who was gosh darn it, Kenneth. Somebody look it up for me. It'll come to me in a second. But Kenneth Robeson. Kenneth Robeson was the author, but my understanding was that was just a pen name. They had whoever was in the office. I mean, they had a multiple of guys writing Doc Savage stories, but Kenneth Robeson was the pen name that they all used. So one may be really well written, another one maybe not so much. And these were pulp magazine stories originally, and so you can't imagine these guys were getting paid a lot of money. So much like the B mummy movies, these were the kind of B serialized magazine stories you would read. And I remember I had a Doc Savage t-shirt on. I was leaving a store, checkout line. This was years ago when I still had hair. And she goes, "Doc Savage, who's that?" And then, of course, I had to explain to her that he was a pulp hero. She's like, "Pulp, what does that mean?" And then I had to explain what a pulp magazine was and why it was called a pulp magazine, which, of course, because they used wood pulp to make the paper. So it was really crappy paper and inexpensive. And they were able to print these magazines with all these action adventure stories in them. You know, Burroughs and Robert E. Howard and Kenneth Robeson. So yeah, she got way more of an earful than she probably bargained for on that. But I have to say that I would not be interested in any of these characters if the artist that drew them when I first saw them or was introduced to them, or their design wasn't cool. I don't care how well written it is. I'm not into it. I'm so visual that way. It's got to be something that appeals to me visually before I get into it. So how about number 3? Another Robert E. Howard character. You probably knew this one was in there. Cole. I've talked a million times about why I love Cole so much. Just to refresh, he's a barbarian that becomes king, and he has to balance that sort of responsibility of running a kingdom with being a barbarian at heart. So very interesting stuff for me. Whereas Conan just kind of ran around and was a thief and did what he wanted to do. Cole had responsibilities, and he had to manage those responsibilities and still be a barbarian. So I really, really enjoyed it. Almost kind of like King David from the Old Testament, right? He was a bit of a barbarian at heart, but then had to rule. But again, would I have gotten into Cole if it hadn't been for Marie, inked by brother John Severin? I'm a huge John Severin fan. I really like something about his line work really speaks to me. And so if I had not liked the design of the character or the look of the character, if it hadn't been that sort of, Severin has this way of just sort of making characters' faces and stuff appealing. Now, granted, the first issue was Ross Andrew and Wally Wood, which also looks fantastic. And that would have been enough to get me in. But then follow that up with Marie and John Severin, and I was like, this is great. It only lasted till issue 9. And then Plug took over for a couple issues. that were very memorable. And then it was just, whoever's available kind of thing. But it was because of Severin's work and the work of Wally Wood over Ross Andrew that really drew me to this character and then got me to read it. And when I started reading it, I just loved it. I was very disappointed when he got his crown stripped by Thulsa Doom, and then he became a barbarian just like Conan, and then he wasn't anywhere near as interesting to me. So there you go. Number 3, King Cole. While he's king, when he's not king, but when he's king, I'm there. All right. Number 2. You know him, you love him, you'll travel light years to see him. It's James T. Kirk. He's the ultimate non-superhero hero. He's got to take care of the Enterprise. He's got to take care of 400 crewmen. He's got to defeat the Klingons and the Romulans. He's battled a Gorn barehanded. James T. Kirk. Is there ever been a cooler captain, a guy in charge, than the captain of the Enterprise? I don't think so. I laugh at Jean-Luc Picard, but not James T. Kirk. James T. Kirk is the man, and is the man who gets the chicks in deep space, and you gotta appreciate that. No, I mean Kirk, is courageous, intelligent, always seemingly makes the right decisions. And then when he doesn't, he's man enough to own it, and he's, who's got more courage and will to survive and to win? I don't believe in the no-win scenario. He's been in comics. He's been in novels. He's been on the big screen. He's been on the small screen. So this character has covered them all. And since I was a wee lad, my mom, when we watched Star Trek together, she liked Mr. Spock, but I was a Kirk guy. Kirk was the man. So anyway, James T. Kirk is my number 2. My number 2 spot. People always want to hang me when I say I like Babylon 5 more than Trek. No, we won't. We wouldn't hang you on this show. We just do this. Babylon 5, please. Now, if you're talking about Next Gen and all that crap, fine. But nothing's better than the original series, my friend. Nothing. What I wouldn't do for a handface or a good, solid club. Yep. But he actually made gunpowder. You got to be smart. Would you ever remember how to make gunpowder? I don't think I've ever learned except by watching Star Trek. Well, it's got to have a sulfur deposit, some coal, potassium, and some diamonds, the hardest substance known in the galaxy. So anyway. Actually Cisco is okay. What was that, Deep Space Nine? I watched a little bit of that here and there, but it was, again, the problem with Next Generation is there's Kirk, he's going to die practically every episode. It's like, I need the melodrama, and I wasn't getting that from Next Gen. It seemed very modern and peaceful and intellectual. Do I look like an intellectual? Don't answer that. Anyway, so there you go. Kirk is the man, but he's not the number 1 man. There's only one number 1. Let's find out who it is. He was a Civil War hero, but then became a hero for another world. John Carter, Warlord of Mars. This has to going back to when I was a kid, a Star Trek aged kid, that I discovered these gems. Honestly, the books are they're not fantastic because even though I like Burroughs, they were written again for pulp magazines. And so all the stories are serialized. And so what that means is you get a book like The Princess of Mars, right? There's like, say there's 30 chapters. Each chapter is a serialized segment or adventure from a magazine in the 1920s or 30s, whenever Burroughs did it. And then he tried to put them all together in a novel. And so what happens is at practically every chapter break, you get like um, uh, a recap of what happened previously, so you feel like you're reading a monthly book as a magazine story rather than a novel. So they're not, I mean, it's cool they put them together in a book form, but that's not how they were originally presented, so they don't read as fluidly as they might. They seem to be, again, decompressed a bit, but not for the sake of storytelling, but just for the how they were presented. That's just was the nature of the beast, right? Um, but you've had some great Frazetta work associated with from the 70s, with John Carter of Mars. Of course, Gil Kane, inked by Rudy Nebres, for the comic book series for Marvel. Um, uh, we had what I thought was a good movie, not the best casting in the world, and certainly the worst promotion ever. But the John Carter movie I enjoyed thoroughly, despite those factors. I just like this whole idea, this kind of guy who's lost everything in the Civil War. He's got nowhere to go, nothing to do, but he's really at heart, he's a good man, courageous man. And he gets transported to another world where in the books or the stories, he was, everybody was naked. And the thing about that was, man, I don't know if I want to go to battle without my loins girded up. You know what I'm saying? So I always thought that was kind of weird. But so let's take away the nakedness and actually put him in something, so I feel a little bit more comfortable when I'm sword fighting. And, so he becomes a hero, where he's recognized as a hero and basically conquers a planet. It's great stuff. I mean, it's great adolescent male fantasy, right? Where you become the hero and you get the girl and you do heroic things, and everybody, you get all the accolades, and tremendous stuff. And I always like that sort of just that wee bit of sci-fi fantasy. It's not like pure sci-fi. There's no tech sci-fi in it. It's all sort of fantasy sci-fi, but which is really what I sort of gravitate towards anyway, the fantasy over the actual Star Wars type science fiction. I prefer this type of barbarian, battling monsters kind of fantasy type stuff. But there you have it. There's my top 5. Now, the one I didn't mention here is Indiana Jones. And I have to say, I've become a little jaded about Indiana Jones. We had 3 good movies. And then, the following ones were less than wonderful. But beyond that, it's all these pedophile rumors that going around, that not involving Harrison Ford, but I've seen more and more stuff on Indy's relationship with Miriam in the film, which never clicked with me. I mean, that just goes to show you where the minds of people were, in the 70s and 80s as opposed to where they are now. But, when she said, "Oh, I was a child," and he's like, "Ah, you knew what you were doing." I always thought, well, obviously he wouldn't have touched her until she was 18. And 18 is still, incredibly young to be involved with a guy who's maybe 30 something, or, so I always thought that was the case. It never occurred to me that she was underage when they had their affair. And now that everybody's pointing that out, and it seems like that's rather obvious, I kind of lose a little bit of respect for the character. So as much as I love Indiana Jones as a character, that sort of tarnished it for me a little bit and knocked him out of the top 5. Yeah. To me, that's one of those things you sit there and go, yeah, it gives the character a little bit of edge, but it also makes him less heroic and less idyllic. Idyllic. Yeah. No, it's true. There was a lot of this kind of weird stuff going on. But well, not in this day and age. No, of course it isn't. But I knew a lot of 18-year-old girls that made a lot of stupid decisions. So when I was 18. So but anyway, that whole conversation sort of, and I get it, it wasn't like as big a deal at that period of time as it is now, but still, you still sort of, it affects how you look at it overall, at least it does for me. Robbing the cradle. Sequential for $5. Thank you so much. Have you ever seen and or reviewed the movie The Whole Wide World starring Vincent D'Onofrio as Robert E. Howard? Interested in your take. I'm aware of it. I have not seen it, but thank you for reminding me of that. I want to go check that out because I remember seeing that come out and it was a very kind of smallish film and didn't last very long. And I'm not always that quick to get out to the movie theaters. And then by the time I think about it, it's gone. And then, it's out of my mind, but I'll check that out because I was interested in seeing that and I just completely forgot about it. 38 and living with your parents is still a child these days. That is true. I like my mom's high school picture, yearbook picture, whatever. You're like, were you like 26 when you graduated? I mean, yeah, they looked like so much older back then than they do now. I don't know why that is, but hairstyles, I guess, and how they actually dressed like adults. Anyway. Okay. Well, folks, I guess we're right on schedule. I found some, I don't know if I want to call it good stuff, but it's certainly interesting stuff this week. So let's go on our journey and search out Bigfoot, shall we? I'm about to turn 50. If I cut off all my hair, gray hair and beard, I look like I'm in my 30s. My mom sits there and goes, you wouldn't look so old if you'd shave off that gray beard. No, I've got a show called Gray Beards, Mom, so I can't shave it off now. But when I do, I actually look younger. Gray doesn't help. That's for sure. Aaron, when are you going to be hip and dye your beard blue? Never. I see. I took Shelly in to get her hair for a hair appointment last week, and there was like a lady. She looked old, so I don't know. Maybe she was my age, but she looked older than me and had like purple hair. And I was like, "Come on, Grandma, are you kidding me? Jeez, do you have a nose piercing too? Come on." Jerry Roscoe says, honestly, this is his favorite part of Sunday. Mine too, except trying to find decent videos after we've been doing this for like a year, probably. There's not a lot of them out there left. So I kind of waiting I have to start creating my own content, I guess. I keep threatening to go and start ranting about my rather, I don't know if they're off the wall, but interesting viewpoint on dinosaurs. But I know we have a lot of evolutionists in the audience, and I don't want to piss off a bunch of people, but I have some interesting takes on dinosaurs. Eventually we'll get to that. But let's take a look at our now this is wild, but maybe a little too wild. You tell me. So allegedly this guy's out in the woods and look at there's all what? That's I like that. He's scurrying about there. Yeah, these are skinwalkers apparently. this is the video that I'm interested in right here. So this guy's out in the woods, according to the story, and he gets attacked by all these skinwalkers. I'm thinking, if you get attacked by a bunch of skinwalkers, you're probably not going to live to post the video about it. Especially right there, right? Didn't he just get attacked and then all his buddies jump on him and they eat him or whatever? I don't even know what skinwalkers are supposed to do. I mean, they see him lurking around. Oop, that was too stupid to even show. I mean, this doesn't look even remotely real to me. So I'm assuming he did all this in video post-production. But it's pretty crazy. I don't know why they showed this. This has nothing to do with this clip. But I love that one right there. Look at that guy. Running through the woods. And then boom. There are all of his buddies just waiting to pounce. And then, of course, in great cinematic, dramatic fashion, boom, it's right there coming at you, baby. So, I agree. I think it's found footage genre. Yeah. Jump scare video right there, Kellraiser says. Yep. Christina Lynn says the one running towards the camera looks like a drawing. It does. It looks like bad CGI. Says they appear to have no teeth. What can they do? It's like they're the giant frogs. Are they going to gum you? I mean, I don't know. They say, look at these skinwalkers. Look at these skinwalkers. And you're like, okay, but what are they supposed to do exactly? You know, you can say, oh, this thing exists, but give me some reason for their existence. At least Bigfoot, you figure, okay, he's basically an ape man that, you know, caveman, ape man that lives out in the woods. I'm sure he's eating fish and, you know, he's like a bear, right? But skinwalkers, what are they doing? They have no clothes on. They're out in the woods. They got to be freezing to death, right? And what do they do when they catch you? I don't know. They suck your soul to Sheol. Sheol, of course, is the biblical term for hell. Actually, Sheol is place of the dead. It's not necessarily hell. It could be just a waiting spot for the dead. When was this? By the way, Aaron, if you use Adobe, I do, for any reason, watch out. The new TOS, is that a misspelling? Or you may get robbed. I don't understand what that means. Is that a joke or is there something? Are you being serious about that? Nephilim. Okay, but still, okay, if it was, what? They got no teeth and they got no clothes. I don't see them living long in the woods, quite frankly, Nephilim or not. Oh, so now Adobe is now stealing your content that you create? That's great. Wow. Well, I'm not making any Bigfoot videos. All I'm doing is coloring. So I think generally those new terms of service, you see that cropping up a lot. And I think it's for promotion of their own stuff, I guess. It'd be like using you for advertisement and not paying you for it, which of course sucks. But I don't know. I guess I need to change platforms. I mean, there's other coloring programs out there. I just don't know how to use them. So I guess I'm going to have to learn. Thanks for the heads up. I'll drink to that. All right. What else we got here? Okay. God, these are... And I got a couple of really brilliant ones here tonight. Okay. Is this a werewolf or is this a guy in a costume? Is this bad animation? I don't know. This guy, I think, is speaking like Japanese or something in the video. So You can't really tell much here. I mean, of course, it's blurry because that's what we come to expect. So we have to kind of look through the haze of the blurry video and see if there's anything there. Right here, this is the best. It looks to me like a guy in a costume, but like he has extensions. Look at this. I mean, it doesn't even look, yes, the questions. It doesn't even look like if it was real, if it could function. This is either really, really bad CGI or it's a guy in a pretty lame costume. And they say it's a werewolf, but this guy's filming it like what, 30 feet away, and he still can't get a clear shot. But this creature is not attacking him. It looks like he's struggling. Do you see what I'm saying? That it looks like the guy's got arms and legs in this costume, but then he's got like extensions, like he's holding in his hands, or like wood blocks or something that are in here that he's walking on to make his arms and legs look really strange. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it is, but it doesn't look real. I can tell you that in any way, shape, or form, whether it's really poorly designed CGI or if it's a really poorly designed and executed costume. But gosh darn it, it's blurry, and that's really all we care about, isn't it? I mean, this thing looks like it's his, his buddy in this costume, and he keeps falling over and can hardly walk in it, is what it looks like. See, look at the ones where he's on the ground. It's like, oh, I can't even get up. His legs are flailing, and he's like, help me. I'm like, get up. We've got to do the video. I'm trying. I can't move in this thing. So definitely not a werewolf. Eric Hutful says, why is this footage black and white? Is this 1950s? No, it's at night. So it's like, you see that green tint? It's kind of that night vision crap. Question marks really add to the realism. I'm convinced. Gray Wolf says, that's a bear, and a bear that looks very sick. Do you think that's a bear? Do you actually, that's not a, yeah, it's, I don't know. That guy's given up on the dog costume. It's too difficult. Yeah. Andy says, with the quality of even phone cameras, the images always surprise me with the poor blurry images. A lot of times they go in a editing program and blur them because they're so sharp and clear that everything, you can tell how fake it is. But if you blur it up a little bit, you can't really see it. That's one of the editing tricks that almost all these people use. So either Bigfoot or these creatures are all interdimensional travelers that are phasing in and out of our reality, and that's why they're blurry all the time. Or everybody goes in and blurs it up. And I've seen them do that before on ones that I know, I mean, that they've admitted that they're fake, and then they show you how they did it. And they always go in and make the quality of the video poor so you can't really see how bad the costume is. So anyway, either a dying bear or a dude in a costume that can't navigate it very well. Oh, man. I know you guys have probably seen this. This is a riot. Okay, so apparently we have an alien running from a coyote or something. Let's see. Up here he comes. So allegedly, this garbage man at work early in the morning caught this on camera. Now look at the coyote. The coyote just happens. What he videotaped was this coyote running up the sidewalk, and then he puts in this alien in front of him because that coyote is clearly not chasing that thing. It's just jogging along. If it was chasing that thing, it would be Would have mowed him down. Look at that. It's like, I don't even know what that is. It's like a couple of like chicken legs and a turkey body or something. I don't know. Geek Avenger for $2. Thank you, Geek. Says, I sent you a DM of that costume on Twitter. It's the same one. Okay. Well, now I've got to go see that. Let's watch the little chicken man run while, while gosh, this is so funny. Yeah, it's right. Christina Lynn says it looks like one of the creatures from the cantina in Star Wars. It does. All right, I'm going to run over to Twitter really quick here. There it is. It? All right, hang on. Let's take a look, if I may. This is what Geek just sent me. I assume you guys can hear it. But it doesn't matter if you hear it or not. Oh, that might be like darn near the same thing. So it is a guy in a costume with extensions on his arms and stuff. Yeah. Looks like it could be the same thing or the same type of thing. There you go. So anyway, there you go. Naked cyber frog is what we're saying. San Diego chicken has lost a lot of weight. I don't know. Okay, this one takes the cake, though, you guys. This I had to put this on here. I actually laughed out loud when I saw this. You tell me what you think, though. Maybe it is, the real thing, and I'm just missing the point. But look at our little goblin friend there. Oh, so if you go to certain spots, look at him. Just no, it's not Yoda, folks. It's this little guy right here. My daughter, I heard me laughing. She comes in and goes, "What are you watching?" And I showed her. She goes, "Oh my gosh, that is the worst animation I've ever seen." I said, "No, it's real. It's a real little. What do you call them, guys?" That's gross. Yeah. Peter Dinklage, somebody says. We got to watch this again. This is too good. Look at him. Look, scooting through those, little hat on. Eric Hutfulsness says, no, that's real. Carbon dioxide, is that Jimmy Reyes? Oh my gosh. It's a real dill. Okay. Some type of little fairy goblin gnome guy. Wow. Doesn't have a package or anything. Or is he wearing pants? Maybe has he got little green pants on? He might have little green pants on. Yeah, he does have pants, doesn't he? Right there. They're like, he's like a grandpa. He's got pants all the way up to his chest. Oh boy. He's like, whoa, what was that? That was a fake photo. The video that goes with it isn't very good, or I would have showed it. Wow. Okay. Elfenhosen. That's what they're called in Germany, I assume. The Elfenhosen. Aussie elf, real dill. Looks like Vito. Looking for his lucky charms, indeed. Well, folks, that's all I got for you tonight. A little bit shorter than normal, but right about, again, an hour and 45 minutes. So I want to thank everybody for joining me. I want to thank you for the super chats, you guys. I greatly appreciate them. I could not do the show without audience participation. And I appreciate you guys taking the time on your Sunday afternoon to join me. I will keep you frequently updated, those of you who backed the Kid Carter campaign, as we continue to move forward and I get more and more stuff done. I will continue to share it with you so you know exactly where I'm at all times. Again, you'll find the link in the description of this video. Take you right to the campaign if you'd like to back it. Probably be open for less than a month if everything goes well. So you only have probably about, 3 more weeks to back it. So please consider doing so if you have not already. If you have, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And again, thank you guys for joining me on Air and Live. We'll see you here on, I see you Wednesday, hopefully, on Graybeard Studio. But if it's not till next Sunday, it's not till next Sunday. But I'll see you right here again on Air and Live. Take care, everybody, and see you next time.